Casca's got to be one of the most beloved chicks in the Berserk series, and there's no denying about that, because surely it is not for Lord knows why. But something that I think most Berserk fans have wondered about the most is who was better for Casca in the long run? Was it Guts, Griffith, or even Judeau? But it isn't as easy as cut and dry as you think it is. Let's dive deeper into find out who was actually the better fit for Casca. So let's start out with emotional imprint, and I'll make this remark. Women will lie when it benefits them and cover it with emotions. So with all that being said, let's start with Griffith, leaving the biggest emotional imprint on Casca's emotions and mind, because he had saved her from the life that she was about to live with this quote-unquote nobleman. I mean, this nobleman was he couldn't wait to go to the castle to do what he was going to do with her, and she was a child. And guess what? Griffith came in, swooped up, saved her, and then he gave her a choice to be alone or follow him. And she knew at that moment that she was in the middle of nowhere. She couldn't go back to her hometown. She was too far, and she's a little girl. Her options are limited. On top of that, she was just standing in front of a knight in shining armor person, and she was like, I want to go with you, and I promise I'll carry my weight, I'll do everything that you say that I need to do, and you don't have to worry about me. And on top of that, she just knew Griffith was going places, and she didn't want to die, bottom line. And she followed him, and she carried her own weight, and that was that. But not only that, Griffith took her on a roller coaster ride with emotions, like faking his own death, and when Zod injured Griffith and basically knocked him out unconscious, that sealed the deal as far as emotional imprint on her mind. She did witness an alpha figure with Griffith, and she wanted to be on the winning team. Well, let's talk about Guts. Guts saved her countless times, numerous of times, and she still gave him lip service, not even a word of gratitude. Example, he came to save the Band of the Hawk, right? And what do you think she said to him? She didn't even say thanks. She just said, come see me in the back, right? She actually guilt tripped him when she said, come see me in the back. And she masked it using her emotions, saying, it was all your fault. Griffith was lost when you left his side. Really? Guilt tripping, huh? Interesting.
Do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
And she wasn't even sorry about it. Throughout the series, she never did say thank you for saving us. She went straight into on guard and started swinging at him. And now throughout the whole journey that they were on before, the eclipse, there was just no really emotional imprint left on Casca other than, wow, he saved me countless times, and I don't know why I still give him an attitude. I don't know why I still am so hard on him, even though he's doing a decent job compared to some of these other dudes that think they're men, but they're really not. But I give him a hard time anyway. And the little emotion that she showed was when Guts had left. And in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, Guts is in the race somewhat, because she called out his name. But it was only because comfort and stability were leaving. Let me put that in your mind again. Comfort and stability. So it didn't matter if she had sex with Guts. It did not matter. And it was just one time. And okay, another thing that she did to express emotion was that she cleaned off his face with a rag when saving Griffith. And then they went to the ball and they were dancing in a circle. But at the end of the day, it was still revolving around Griffith, because listen, when they were saving Griffith and she heard that Griffith laid with Charlotte, all she did was she made a face and she got in her feelings about it, and Guts noticed it. Now don't tell me that she still didn't have a strong emotional connection to that weak man over there, even though he was not the same. So let's talk about Judeau. Good friend, and will always stay in the friend zone. So emotional imprint, probably none. One thing that is clear though, emotions with him were basically non-existent. Might as well have not been there. He was basically not on her radar. And you may think, well, it was honorable what he did to put Guts on to Casca, but he never even shot his shot. And those who don't shoot their shot don't even get noticed. But he was just too scared, and so he took himself out of the race. Now, the only time that she did express some type of emotion was during the eclipse. She felt a surge of emotion when Judeau was dying in front of her eyes. eyes. But up until that point, she basically thought the guy was just a good dude, and she had no emotions for him really, and I'll leave it at that. Now, one thing that is clear throughout the times of Casca being with Griffith in his presence, Casca loved that feeling that she got just by being in his presence, being near him, even though she was out of his reach. It was still good enough for her. But at the end of the day, she might have laid with Guts, though she really didn't want to, and though she didn't get that same feeling she does when she was around Griffith, it is very clear that Griffith left the strongest emotional imprint on her. Now let's discuss compliance with Casca. Casca was non-compliant with Guts and Judeau and compliant with Griffith. Let's discuss this a little bit further. So when Griffith gave an order, she did it without any lip service, but when it came to Guts, there was always some type of lip service behind it or some type of pullback. And with Judeau, I swear, she couldn't even do a simple instruction like go to sleep and eat. She was given an order from Griffith to go warm up Guts because he was bleeding so badly, at least so that he can get back up to health. She didn't want to, but she did not give no lip service. She was like, okay, whatever. Even though she was mad in her mind about it, she still did it. She didn't say, no, Griffith, I ain't doing that. Why don't you go find somebody else to do it? No, 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 no. She did it and moved on. Have you ever experienced that feeling when you're with a woman and that woman is non-compliant with attitude and then pulls back because you're chasing after them? That is the exact thing that happened to Guts. Even with Griffith being in his weakened state, she still chose Griffith. Now with Guts, the conditions of compliance were conditional when it benefited Casca the most. So like for example, she was running a fever. Guts told her to chill out. She was fighting him, giving him lip till exhaustion. But when it came to when Guts said, these 100 men, let me handle them, you go back to Griffith. She was like, suit yourself, bye, and ran for the hills. Now I know she didn't say it like that, but she was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, bye. She didn't even think about it. So those are the examples of when it benefits her the most, she will go. And when it's Griffith involved, she will go. Now, I don't even know why we keep bringing up Judeau, but I guess because we kind of have to. Even though with Judeau's simple suggestion, again, like I mentioned before, sleep and eat, she did not do it. Now with the sleep, she did it by default because of exhaustion. So throughout this whole thing, she has witnessed one alpha figure to her, and she was ready to do anything to be on this team. Now question, why didn't she do the same thing with Guts? We're not even gonna bring up Judeau because he's just not even in that race. But why didn't she do it with Judeau if we wanted to talk about Judeau? Is it because that she saw tears in Guts's eyes and she didn't get that same feeling of an alpha figure that she got with Griffith? Was it because that there was some uncertainty with Guts's direction in life? And Casca heard uncertainty with Guts's direction in life and still thought that the weakened Griffith was a better option with the Band of the Hawk.
Dumbass motherfucker.
If I am wrong about all of this, then why did she say, Guts, you must go on your own. You cannot stay. You made your decision a long time ago. This is our burden.
Dumbass motherfucker.
And now don't be saying excuses, oh, she felt bad or she had an obligation. Listen, if she was really into what Guts was putting down, then she would have left without hesitation and kept it moving. Say, bye. Comfort and stability is what Casca got from Guts and Judeau. Mind you, this is not a good thing.
Do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
And she loves the feeling of being put in her place, being told what to do by Griffith. And she didn't mind this so much that she was willing to be his sword. And she's made that very clear. She would do anything for this dude. She would bandage him up. She would let him get on top of him, even though he was, in his weakened state. She still did it, hugged him, kept him moving, cried about it. Now, let's make this one thing clear. Just because Casca was intimate with Guts doesn't mean it represents love. This was pretty clear. If that was true, then Casca would have brushed off Griffith when he was trying to get on top of her and not even catch feelings of guilt, remorse, feeling bad about the situation, and she wouldn't even thought twice to stay with the Hawk. She was like, all right, when we going? She would have left. Listen, even if Griffith was trying to kill himself and run away and the whole cart and everybody was going after, she would have reminded Guts, not our problem. I am on your team and let's keep it moving. Casca wasn't looking for comfort or stability. If that was the case, she would have went with Guts. Hell, even Judeau. But we know Judeau's not even in the race. So she was more into the feeling that she got from Griffith and just being in his presence. And that was enough to hypnotize her, that so much that she wanted to be with him physically.
Yes, excellent.
and mentally, and he wasn't doing nothing with her, and yet she was still in love with the man, knowing what she knows about him. Now let's discuss sensitivity. Sensitivity only occurred with Judeau and Guts, but not with Griffith. Casca never did see Griffith cry, period. She only saw Guts and Judeau cry. Even though Griffith did anything to make his dream happen, and she respected that the most, even for him to sell himself out. Woo! Well, that's too much sauce on that. But she never did see him cry. She did see him get frustrated enough to, like, you know, rip his skin off and things of that nature, but she never did see him cry, even in his weakened state. Guts was crying in front of Griffith. Now, let that sink in. Now, with Guts, she saw tears coming from this man's eyes. And even though they made love after that, not knocking him, but I think that low-key left an impression or perspective about him. Because when Guts saved her and thought it was for her, Guts let her know it was not for you. It was because I was doing my duty, protect my comrades, and I just want to swing my sword. And that shocked her a little bit. She was like, whoa, really? It wasn't for me? You didn't do that for me? But from that to tears, she low-key was like, you're not this tough like I thought you were. Now with Judeau, there were some tears. The only reason why I bring this up is because, you know, when the man was dying, he got his arm bit off. And on top of that, he was like, there was something I've been wanting to tell you. You cry a lot in your sleep.
What?
And then he dies. And I'm like, that's not really what you wanted to say, is it? You really wanted to tell her how you really felt, but I'll leave y'all with that. So based on the facts that we have just discussed and laid out, who would you say is the better person for Casca in the long run? I would say Griffith. And before Guts decided to leave, it was good enough for Casca to be far away, sold on hope to be with Griffith, and she played her part on his team. There was a feeling that Griffith gave to her and showed throughout the series up into the eclipse. That was her alpha male figure, and she knew he was going places. She knew he would do anything to achieve his dream, and he knew that he was going to make sure everybody played their part. Judeau, not strong enough, didn't even arouse any kind of emotions up until his death. So basically, he was just a good friend that you would talk to when nobody's around or nobody would listen to you. Basically, most dudes in general. And now with Guts, he was strong, but there was a thing that was missing, and that was submission and getting that feeling that she felt when she was with Griffith, and having a big dream that was good enough to sell Casca on. Because again, if she was sold on it, she would have stayed with Guts despite seeing how Griffith was in his broken state. And that is why Griffith is the best person for Casca. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree. We could talk about this in the comments below. If you're looking for some of the most amazing content, Mastermind Comics in the building can get you what you need. Be sure to like, subscribe for more content from us. Also, go watch Casca Enjoyed This while you're on this channel. You know you want to.
Lost and alone in a world that's not your own. You still have perspective in a world that feels